everyone, I'm Aygul Mukey, and you're watching Silkway TV channel and the program Zaman Trend. You know, I've been in television for quite some time now, and I've always had this dream to host a show not from a newsroom or out on the city streets, but from inside the luxurious car like this one. And today, that dream has come true. On Zaman Trend, we're diving into a trend that's been gaining serious momentum, the rise of Chinese cars. China is quickly establishing itself as one of the top exporters of goods and vehicles to Kazakhstan. Chinese cars have been winning over buyers with their unbeatable combination of price and quality, offering options for city driving as well as off-road adventures. By the way, in 2023 alone, over 30,000 Chinese cars were sold in Kazakhstan. And it's not just cars. Chinese electronics are also flying off the shelves. Chinese smartphones, for instance, now dominate over 50% of the market, making them the top sellers, a stark contrast to a few years ago when many people doubted their reliability. When it comes to household appliances, from vacuum cleaner to kitchen gadgets, Chinese products now account for up to 40% of what's on offer in many stores. And that's not all. China is also playing a major role in Kazakhstan's construction projects, supplying equipment and advanced technologies. For instance, more than 70 of the solar panels used in Kazakhstan's power plants are made in China. According to the latest data from 2023, over 50,000 Chinese cars were purchased in Kazakhstan, half of all cars sold. And it's not just about price. Yes, they are more affordable than their European counterparts, but they're also getting better every year. More modern, more reliable, and frankly, more stylish and appealing. Let's take a closer look and see for ourselves. Before Chinese cars made their mark, Kazakhstan's automotive market was largely shaped by partnerships with Russian and Soviet manufacturers. In the 1990s, most cars in CIS were imported from Europe and Japan. Here's a little piece of history for you. In 1992, the first car assembly plant in Kazakhstan opened in Uskhimen, producing locally made vehicles. By the 2000s, the market had begun to branch out, welcoming brands from Korea, the United States, and Europe. Even then, though, cars were still considered a luxury. There were only 70 cars per 1,000 people. Things began to shift in the 2010s as local manufacturing grew and more affordable imported models, including those from China, became widely available.
To be honest, buying this car was a bit of an impulse decision. I got hooked by an ad, clicked the link, and when I saw it at the dealership, I was sold. The car is just fantastic. For starters, it's the most affordable foreign body on-frame SUV you can get. On top of that, Chinese cars have become incredibly popular over the past couple of years. It's a full-on trend now. And we're not talking about something untested. These are solid, reliable vehicles with impressive quality. This particular car has a reputation for being designed with engineers in charge, not marketers. My family's been driving it for a year now, and we couldn't be happier. I've also spoken to the dealership's technical team, and they all agree it's a tough, dependable machine. What's great about this car is the sheer potential for customization. It's a dream come true for anyone who loves tinkering with their vehicle. I mean, this car gives you the chance to live out all those childhood and teenage fantasies. It's like a playground for upgrades, whether they're tailored specifically for this model or for off-road adventures in general. For instance, I added a 2.5-inch suspension lift and it's been fantastic. The stock suspension works fine, but with this upgrade, driving on highways, country roads and even rough terrain is a breeze. Potholes and bumps? This car doesn't even notice them. The customization options are endless. You can add anything from roof racks with ladders to special off-road tires with bed locks. There are even tires built for mountain expeditions with reinforced sidewalls and all the bells and whistles. Honestly, you can make this car into whatever you want. It's an absolute beast in all conditions. Just recently we had a huge snowstorm, and in our off-road club we joked that it was finally our time to shine. This car doesn't care about snowdrifts, ice or anything else. It's such a great car and I'd highly recommend it. You'll end up winning and won't regret it for a second.
Just look at this car, it's like a blazing orange fireball, a real fiery stallion. The moment I saw it, it brought me straight back to my childhood. I remember how my dad and I used to drive around the city, trying to spot red, yellow and blue cars. Back then, the streets were full of vibrant shades. These days, though, it seems like everything's white, black or gray. This fiery stallion is a proper SUV, the kind of car off-road enthusiasts dream about. They push these beasts to their absolute limits, which is exactly what they're built for.
Our journey began in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan. Every day the organizers gave us a set of points and we'd choose routes based on what intrigued us most. We started by traveling around Lake Issyk-Kul, but along the way we detoured to canyons, scenic lookouts and other interesting spots. That's the beauty of road trips, you get to decide the route.
В чем прелесть автопутешествий? Это в том, что ты сам выбираешь себе маршрут. Если ты видишь интересное место, можешь остановиться, полюбоваться.
If you see something cool, you can pull over, take a closer look, snap some photos, maybe even set up a little table, brew some coffee and just enjoy the scenery.
Что не сдерживает, ты не...
You're not tied down to any fixed schedules like trains or buses. It's complete freedom.
Свобода действий полная.
As we journeyed through Kyrgyzstan, we made it to the Tian-Shan Mountains near the Chinese border and visited the abandoned ghost town of Inilchek, where gold used to be mined. We tried to hike up the Khan-Tengri Peak viewpoint, but the road had been washed out by landslides, so we couldn't make it. Still, we camped near some hot springs, where the day was warm at 22 degrees Celsius, but at night it dropped to -8 degrees Celsius. The car performed flawlessly throughout the trip, covering 7,000 kilometers without a hitch. The highest point we hit was Akbaytal Pass at 4,655 meters, right on the border with the Tajikistan's Pamirs.
данной точке, как у всех атмосферных автомобилей, конечно, из-за голодания и нехватки кислорода немного обороты падали, машина вела себя немного непонятно. Но это сказано с тем, что в горах нет кислорода недостаточно.
Like any naturally aspirated engine, it struggled a bit at those altitudes due to the lack of oxygen. But that's typical in the mountains. No vehicle escapes that.
Серпантины, бездорожье.
We faced steep climbs, winding switchbacks, and rugged off-road conditions. The car's features like low-range gears and front and rear differential locks proved invaluable. We used every function this vehicle had to offer.
На самом деле автомобиль, я уже как ранее говорил, выбирался именно для сложных условий бездорожья.
This vehicle was chosen specifically for its ability to handle challenging off-road conditions because I'm a huge fan of active outdoor adventures. Fishing, exploring, just getting out into nature. I've been to places where an ordinary unprepared car simply couldn't go, and this vehicle has consistently proven its worth. On this trip, we tackled the entire Pamir Highway, 7,000 kilometers of tough terrain, high altitudes, sand, rock, dunes. The car was up to the task every step of the way. I won't name names, but there were other cars on this trip that couldn't keep up. They broke down or got stuck and had to be towed. At the start, people joked about having a Chinese-made car on the trip. Out of 17 participants, there were only 2 Chinese vehicles, mine and one other. Everyone smirked at first, but after we hit those mountains, they were blown away by what this car could do. Its performance and durability made it a serious contender against the Japanese cars we were up against. The Pamir was extreme in every sense, but there was one moment closer to Astana, about 200 kilometers away. We stumbled upon another abandoned village and almost got stuck there for good. We tried to cross a flooded area with water up to the hood. My license plate actually got caught and ended up on the hood as we slowly crawled through 50 to 60 meters of thick mud. When we went looking for the plate, fish were swimming in the water. It turned out we'd driven through a lake. That crossing was a real test for the car.
Alexander, Timur, and other car enthusiasts have turned into true fans of Chinese vehicles. These folks are building their own clubs and communities around them. But let's be honest, there's still plenty of skepticism out there. The big question is whether Chinese cars can truly stand the test of time. Only real-world experience and the challenges of Kazakhstan's roads can give us a clear answer. To get an honest take, we asked auto mechanic Igor Ilyoshev, how often do Chinese cars break down compared to their Japanese counterparts, and what's their biggest weak spot?
Our dealership boasts a spacious warehouse over 180 square meters, well stocked with everything from basic consumables to specialized parts. If we need to order anything, our distributor in Almaty has an extensive warehouse, and parts usually arrive within 5 days. As for major repairs, we rarely see those. Most of our customers come in for routine maintenance, oil changes, general checkups. Of course, there are occasional warranty repairs, but we handle those quickly and efficiently. These days, consumers have started placing their trust in Chinese car brands. I've been in this industry for quite a while, and I've noticed the growing demand. Sales are climbing, and people have stopped being cautious or skeptical about Chinese-made vehicles.
By the way, it's worth mentioning that in Kazakhstan, we have quite an active community of car owners for various brands. They often gather, organize trips, and all that. And when it comes to Chinese car owners, while they're not a huge group yet, there are some prominent bloggers among them, especially auto bloggers. One of them is Diaz Walikhan. Diaz, your videos have been getting insane views. One of them even hit 15 million.
Almost 14 million actually, with viewers tuning in from all over the world.
That's an absolutely mind-blowing number. You've got channels in both English and Russian. Your English channel has 260,000 subscribers, and your Russian one has also 260,000. But there's no Kazakh language channel yet.
Not yet.
You should definitely start one.
Something to think about it for sure. How does this newcomer from China stack up in terms of speed? Under the hood, it's packing a 3.0-liter turbocharged gas engine with 360 horsepower, plus a 163 horsepower electric motor. That gives it a total of 523 horsepower and 800 Nm of torque.
So tell me, what's behind all the buzz around your channel? Is it because you focus on Chinese cars?
Not exactly. Chinese cars have only recently become part of the content. Most of my audience originally came for the comparative tests of crossovers and SUVs, especially their off-road performance. A lot of people check out the channel to figure out which car to buy and feel more confident in their choice. They see how different cars handle tough conditions, and that helps them decide which one to go for. Now, about Chinese cars. At first, people were really skeptical about their reliability, how quickly they'd lose value, and so on. Honestly, I was skeptical too.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. Back in December 2021, I bought my first Chinese car. I drove it for 63,000 kilometers. And I had zero issues, just routine maintenance. There was one recall from the factory to replace a component, but that's it. So after those 63,000 kilometers without a hitch, I went for another Chinese car for my next one. Now with this second car, I've already driven nearly 40,000 kilometers. I've been to the farthest corners of Kazakhstan this season, explored the stunning beauty of the country, and experienced incredible emotions, all with a Chinese car. It never let me down.
Our show is called Zaman Trend. Are Chinese cars definitely a trend of the moment? Do you think they will take over the world?
Well, if you look at the news, global car manufacturers are struggling with declining sales.
Exactly. Even the big German car companies are laying off workers.
That's right. Meanwhile, exports of Chinese cars are on the rise. And what's really driving this is that their quality has significantly improved. They used to have a reputation for being cheap and unreliable, but now, well, they're not exactly cheap anymore, but they're still affordable, and the quality has come a long way. That's why they're earning more trust among everyday consumers. The trend is clear. Chinese cars are only going to become more popular. Let's look at the numbers. In Kazakhstan, 4 out of the 10 best-selling new cars in October were Chinese models. And among the top 5 car brands, 2 were Chinese. They've really carved out the market segment under 10 million tenge by offering decent quality at a very reasonable price. For mid-range cars up to 20 million tenge, it's mostly Korean brands, and above that, Japanese automakers dominate. So the market has kind of naturally divided itself. There are some high-end Chinese cars out there, but they're still pretty rare. If we rewind 5 years, the progress Chinese automakers have made is staggering. The cars are better, the variety is greater, and their advancements in electric vehicles have helped boost their visibility on the roads. Plus, the arrival of official dealerships has made a big difference. They've brought better service, spare parts, and a stronger presence in cities. People aren't as worried anymore about maintaining these cars or dealing with them after the purchase. Personally, I've been driving Chinese cars for over 2 years now, a crossover and an SUV. Combined, I've covered over 100,000 kilometers on all kinds of roads. I can say with confidence that Chinese cars are just as good as their Korean or Japanese counterparts. Of course, it depends on a model. There are some cheaper options that might not hold up past 100,000 kilometers, but there are also plenty that have proven themselves reliable over the long term. That's really the main challenge for Chinese automakers right now. Their history is relatively short compared to Japanese or European brands that have been around for decades. Those brands have a well-established reputation, and it's easy to find parts and service for models that have been on the market for years. With Chinese cars, though, since they're relatively new, there are still some growing pains, like finding specific parts for certain models after an accident or during maintenance. But as their presence on the market grows, these issues are becoming less common. For the most popular models, it's not just official dealers stocking parts. You've also got independent suppliers bringing in non-original components, just like they do for Japanese, European and other brands.
Chinese automakers really have a knack for giving their cars creative names. Take one popular model, for example. Its name sounds like the English phrase, "I have all," but it's not as straightforward as it seems. The Chinese pronounce it as hafu, which actually means free flight. Another well-known car has a name that might remind you of a tasty berry, but in Chinese, it's not about berries at all. It comes from a phrase, "ciji," which translates to good fortune or special blessing. Even back in the 20th century, the Chinese were known for their imaginative car names. They came up with names like Bountiful Harvest, Soaring Ahead, or Luck Over Britain. Creativity and the special-spirited thinking have always been their hallmark.
They're taking over the market. They're more affordable compared to other cars from abroad right now. At this price, it's fine. Other cars in the same price range tend to be more expensive.
I don't know much about these brands, but I think it's a decent car. I don't know though. I feel like Korean cars are better.
Time will tell. Let it run for 2 or 3 years, and then we'll really see how the quality holds up. Well, they're the future, no doubt. After all, they're all budget-friendly.
So the Chinese have really shown a huge technological leap, a true marvel of creativity and engineering. What's next? Maybe cars will be flying soon, or we'll be controlling them right from our homes. Anything's possible. Either way, we'll be keeping you updated on the latest trends in automotive technology, right there on Zaman Trend on Silkway TV channel. I'm Aygul Mukey, and I'm saying goodbye for now. Take care and see you next time.
Я, Aygul Mukey, прощаюсь с вами. До новых встреч. Всего самого доброго.